It has been more than 3 years since the Ukraine war started. I remember how I used to watch the news and pray for it to end. How I would eagerly check my phone when the media talked about possible peace talks. And I remember how I would intentionally avoid reading the news when I found misleading news did nothing other than play on my tense nerves. And as I was distracted by other unbearable miseries in other parts of the world, I would quietly pray for people who were stuck in their homes, in the battlefields, or in strangers' homes as refugees, other than hoping people could come to their senses, or listen to Nostradamus. There was nothing much I could do. But I couldn't help myself in publishing my Nostradamus' prophecy on February the 28th, 2025, about the White House showdown. Not only because it showed how the prophet saw every detail of the war, but also because it warned about the future of the war. And can you believe it? Even though the warnings are so clearly pointed to the White House showdown, and in a cluster, in a 4-quatrain prophecy from Century 6, quatrains 93, 94, 95, and 96, no one, other than our team, paid any attention. Although when we released our decoding of Nostradamus' warning on the White House showdown on March 1st, 2025, most of the predictions already had happened. There's a bigger warning on the future of the war that has yet to happen. While in the last 4 years, so many events have happened. Even the warning about offense by Ukraine happened. Watch the word offense. We said that may mean one more offensive from Ukraine is left. But what is offense? For Ukraine, this has been a defensive war, and the damages are defensive wounds, except on Kursk. That is offensive. But as Ukraine retreated from Kursk on March 20th, 2025, they launched another attack on Russian territory. On the 18th of March 2025 at around 5:50 a.m. Moscow time, during the Russo-Ukrainian War, Ukraine launched a cross-border incursion into Russia. They entered Belgorod Oblast and clashed with the Russian military. The governor of Belgorod Oblast, Vyacheslav Gladkov, said that the Krasnoyarushki district had been repeatedly shelled in the preceding 24 hours and attacked by 49 Ukrainian drones, 12 of which were intercepted. 12 out of 49, which means 37 drones were successful in hitting targets. Although strategically the attack was successful, this infuriated Putin, who in turn launched mass drone attacks on areas never targeted before. After 3 years, we can say that there is nothing we haven't seen before. But this new offense from Ukraine and the new attacks from Russia did hit some untouched territories. Why? What do I mean? Well, have you heard the talk of a possible attack on the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Station? The power plant has been under Russia's control since 2022. An attack on it would bring a doomsday nuclear cloud. And please do not take this warning lightly, because when Zelensky's survival is on the line, is there anything you think he would not do? I said that because remember how Ukraine secretly sabotaged the Nord Stream pipelines? Remember how it was done secretly, and Ukraine denied responsibility in no uncertain terms. And now, think about the current ceasefire deal brokered by the USA. The main focus of the negotiations was on easing Black Sea shipping and halting long-range strikes on energy infrastructure. Infrastructure. They must have the same concerns even before the rumors started surfacing about Zaporizhzhia may be in trouble. Did Nostradamus see this? I am sure he would not warn us about this offense. Well, I am sure there must be anti-missile system guarding Zaporizhzhia. But you could light a match and destroy a nuclear plant. What if one of the drones gets through? It may be what Nostradamus saw in the next warning quatrain. Let's take a look at Century 2, Quatrain 41, quote, "The great star will burn for 7 days. The cloud will cause 2 suns to appear. The big mastiff will howl all night, when the great pontiff will change country." The key word that brought my attention is the word cloud. Is this a nuclear cloud? Although I'm pretty sure this is about doomsday, I'm not 100% sure if this is about now. It could be, as the key players in the events are what appear rarely on the political stage. But this time we have 2. Both are TV stars. President Trump, the reality show star before jumping on the world stage, while Zelensky, a famous comedian actor who probably inspired by President Trump, also jumped on the political stage and became the Ukraine president in 2019. I wouldn't be surprised if an attack on Zaporizhzhia will burn for 7 days, and the consequences will be the beginning of the end. In plain words, doomsday. The area will be deserted. All you'll be able to hear is the mastiff howling all night, and the country, actually the world, will be changed forever. Unlike the Century 6 4-quatrain cluster we decoded on the White House showdown, we can't link this prophecy with solid evidence like that, because the event has not yet happened. Actually, we published this possible warning hoping this event will never happen. But let's take a look at the quatrain before and after to see if they will give us any more clues. We find in Century 2 Quatrain 40 the prophecy before this one. This may be about the Ukraine war. Shortly afterwards, without a very long interval, by sea and land a great uproar will be raised. Naval battle will be very much greater. Fires, animals, those who will cause greater insult. This one may be about the Ukraine war, because the last war in Europe was in 1992, the Bosnian War, which was about the time Ukraine got its independence from Soviet Union. At that time, without any bloodshed. But the naval battle during the last 3 years destroyed Russia's entire Black Sea fleet. And the last line, great insult. Do you agree it was the insult that turned these once brothers into enemies? And the quatrain after the doomsday cloud, we find in Century 2, Quatrain 42, quote, "Cock, dogs, and cats will be satiated with blood, and from the wound of the tyrant found dead, at the bed of another legs and arms broken, he who was not afraid to die a cruel death." Is UK the cock? Is Netherlands the dog? As it is the only country with a national dog, the Dutch Keeshond. While Netherlands and UK are the 2 European countries giving the strongest support to Ukraine during this war, could it be Ukraine? Long considered the underdog. These countries for sure are not satiated with blood. If this prophecy is indeed part of the cluster, then a tyrant will be found dead. Will that be Zelensky or Putin? Line 3 and 4 give details about the cruel death. So let's see if that will happen. So let's now take a look at the quatrain that follows. We find in Century 2, Quatrain 43, quote, "During the appearance of the bearded star, The three great princes will be made enemies. Struck from the sky, peace, earth quaking. Po, Tiber overflowing, serpent placed upon the shore. Do you think Vice President Vance could be the bearded star? He is a political star, and he has a beard. He was involved in the showdown, the chat group leak, expressing his concern about USA putting too much into protecting Europe, and the three great princes, President Trump, Zelensky, and Putin, who are not enemies. And the showdown happened during talks about peace, and the world shaking after the meeting. And do you know what serpent means? A sly or treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. I don't know who this serpent may be, but my feeling is that this is the one left standing in the overflowing river. From that description, I would say Nostradamus was talking about the Ukrainian leader. I can move to the next quatrain, which seemed to be about the USA, or I think I will just move to the next doomsday cloud and see if it has any predictions about the current events. We find in Century 4, Quatrain 48, quote, "The fertile, spacious Ausonian plain will produce so many gadflies and locusts. The solar brightness will become clouded, all devoured, great plague to come from them." This is a after doomsday scene, which can be the near future if we can't stop Ukrainian war from deteriorating. Did you know Ukraine, with fertile land, was a major food exporting country? Now, it's all but abandoned. The third line talked about solar brightness to be clouded. This may or may not be after a nuclear blast, but the future seems to be doomed for us to even look at. And the fourth line talks about the comeback of a great plague. The next prophecy mentioned about cloud may not have much to do with the current war, but more about the future we have to face. We find in Century 5, Quatrain 72, quote, "For the pleasure of the voluptuous edict of Potier, one will mix poison in the faith. Venus will be in a course so virtuous as to becloud the whole quality of the sun." On line 4, quality of the sun seemed to warn us about climate disaster, which we are all experiencing, no doubt. The last prophecy Nostradamus mentioned, the word cloud, is found in Century 5, Quatrain 85, quote, "Through the Suevi and neighboring places, they will be at war over the clouds. Swarm of marine locusts and gnats. The faults of Geneva will be laid quite bare." I first thought Suevi was the Suebi, the 6th century ancient kingdom near Germany. But then I realized that this may be Nostradamus' way to pronounce Soviet. Ukraine and Russia were the backbone of the once huge communist regime. That could give line 5 a perfect explanation. Line 2 could explain the war between Ukraine and Russia, as it is a war over the clouds. The missiles, rockets, drones have all been used in mass scale for the first time in modern history. And did you know the drones sank Russia's Black Sea Fleet? How better can you describe that than marine locusts and gnats? The war will end eventually, right? One way or the other. And one country made a huge bet, which already suffered dire consequences and may face even more trouble. The Swiss, as mentioned in line 4 with a quote, "The faults of Geneva." For centuries, Switzerland is synonymous with trust and neutrality, but it lost its standard when it froze the Russian assets. Not long after, Credit Suisse, the second largest bank in Switzerland, collapsed in March 2023. You see, if I put tons of money with questionable origins in my Swiss bank account, what will I do when I hear Swiss's decision to take sides during the Ukrainian war? I will run with my money. So look for more trouble, Geneva. Okay, that's the end of today's discussion on Nostradamus' warnings. Many people have thought Nostradamus talks too much. Let's hope he also worried too much. This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.